Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Go With Your Gut podcast. I am your host, Lauren Dreyer, and today we are talking about celebrating the wins. Here in the United States, if you are not here, we have just come off of celebrating the new year. And typically it is highly custom for people to come up with New Year's resolutions and come up with what they're gonna start in that new year, all the things that we're going to do better. And I'm actually not a huge fan of New Year's resolutions because a lot of times that implicates that we need to, starting in the new year, we're going to do this, and this different. And it almost causes us to do too much of a change too quick to where we don't follow through and it doesn't stick. You may start the new behavior or do the new things for a couple weeks or so, and then you fall off the bus, think, yeah, I'm not going to do this, because what happens? Life comes in and things happen, and the new habits, the new goals weren't maybe established enough, or were just too much of a change quickly that we stopped doing them. I like to do goal setting and think about where you're going to be at the end of the year and think about the milestones that you want to hit throughout that. But the other thing that tends to happen around the New Year's is people reflect on how their year was. A lot of times it's customary for companies to maybe do here's all the projects we did, here's all the things that we accomplished in their holiday party, or whatever they do for employees. And it's, look at all the things we've accomplished. A lot of times we do this in performance reviews, wherever that is in the year. People will keep a folder of their accomplishments, and it's so that you can turn it in and say, here's all the things that I've done. Here is the projects that I've done and accomplished. Here's the resources I've created. Here's the certifications I've received, whatever that looks like for you. Taking on a new job and doing really well at it. It could mean a lot of different things. And we don't always take some time and do a performance review for ourselves. And, that it comes the new year, or, that turning point, and it doesn't take us very long to think about all the things that maybe we didn't get done, or things that we might have done better. And we don't typically think, we're not very fast to say, well, yeah, I didn't get some of these done, but I made some progress on this. I did accomplish this, because we ruminate on the things that we don't get done. But when it comes to things that we did accomplish, whatever it looks like, we get in such forward momentum that it's check the box. Okay, done with this, moving on to the next project. We don't take time to celebrate those accomplishments. And that could look a lot of different ways, because it doesn't necessarily just have to do with professional lives or business or whatever you have going in your life. If you do it from a personal standpoint, maybe you have a goal in the new year of taking so many trips, or finally getting on this trip that you've been trying to save up for years, or however long it is. Maybe you want to go finally do this trip with your friends that you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe you want to take your kids on a special vacation to say, hey, good job this year. Or, you guys did amazing, and because you accomplished this, I've promised you this. And we don't really take time to look at all the things that we did and say, man, I've come a long way in the past year. Because yes, it's good to look forward, but you also have to stop and, yes, smell the roses, but it is really important to actually sit and say, look where I was last year. Here's what I've done this year. And look how far I've come. Maybe you got to spend more time with your friends and family than you usually do. Maybe you decided to go back to school because you decided you wanted to do something different with your life. And whether or not it ended up being what you thought it would be, maybe you still went back to school and you made that work, even though it didn't look that easy with your schedule and it took a lot of sacrifice. Maybe you are, working on your home and doing lots of improvements. And you said, well, by the end of this year, I want to have this much done. And maybe you got all of it done. Maybe you got most of it done. And in there, you had some setbacks because, again, life happens and you got to deal with the setbacks when they come. But what did you do? Did you handle those setbacks well and you kept moving forward? Maybe some things got pushed to the future that you weren't expecting, but look at those wins and think about the fact that we have to celebrate the small things and, appreciate where we were last year compared to where we are now. And that's what keeps the motivation going. That's what keeps the forward momentum going instead of just, forward hauling and saying, how fast can I get to this place? Because when we do that, we lose sight of time and we lose sight of, look at what I've done. Look at what this team has accomplished. Look at what I have accomplished. We get told sometimes that, you need to be humble. And maybe you get told not to celebrate wins because maybe that's an ego stroke. Who knows? But isn't it a lot more fun to keep moving when you can look back at your year and say, man, I've come a long way. And even if I didn't get all the way to where I wanted to come, I've done pretty dang good. And at least I accomplished something. And write it all down because a lot of times we minimize the things that we do accomplish. And again, we make a bigger deal out of the things that we didn't accomplish. And we all know I'm a huge advocate for physically writing things down. So wherever it is, in a planner, on a goal board, or something that maybe you'll see every once in a while, and it will remind you of all of the things that you've accomplished, but actually write it down and make that list. And the more you actually make a list of everything, you'll be able to see just how much you've accomplished. And that includes the small things. It's not just the big things. The big things, absolutely. But getting to those big wins is so much easier and so much better when you can also look at the small wins. Maybe you have a better relationship with your kids and you worked on that on a daily basis. And now at the end of the year or at the time of reflection, you're thinking about how much better that relationship is and how much work you've done. Maybe you have a big goal and it seems really, really lofty and you're thinking, well, I'm going to write this down because it sounds great, but who knows what's going to happen? You have no idea. And you write that down and then you see it. And you know what's pretty cool is being able to come back at the end of the year, go to that list and check it off and say, I actually accomplished it. That's pretty cool. And suddenly, those bigger things, those bigger tasks, those bigger goals and dreams start to be more manageable, start to be more attainable. So think about what you've done in the past year. Think about where you started. And maybe you're like, it seems like this year has lasted forever. Or maybe you have absolutely no idea where the year has gone. Think about what your past year has been like, what you accomplished, what big mental blocks have you made it through, what big relational blocks have you made it through, what new things are you proud of yourself that you got out of your comfort zone or you pushed yourself? Maybe you did a project and you accomplished it and you weren't necessarily sure that you could do it because you had no idea how and you had to learn the new skill. Or, maybe you did a lot of work on yourself and you're just doing a lot better mentally. What does that look like for you? You took advantage and you advocated for yourself in maybe your healthcare, and you've got a better hold on whatever is going on with you. And, it makes you feel a lot better to do all of the other things. And it helps you to set a good example for everyone around you. So what does that look like for you? Now that we're heading into the new year, absolutely make those goals, but also take a little while, like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes or so, a chunk of time that will let you appreciate what you've done and get you more motivated and know what you have to do moving forward. Take some time and think about what you've done. Reflect on what this past year has been. And I'm not talking about just the year in a glance from some of the social media platforms. Those are great. But write down what you personally have accomplished. And yeah, it can have something to do with work, family, friends, whatever that looks like. But make that list so that you can visually see what you've done, how far you've come. And then maybe, I don't know, set a goal for yourself to beat that list or build on the things that you've accomplished in the past year. But if we don't stop and look at where we've been, it's really easy to lose track of time and say, well, I've been so busy in the producing mode, in the forward momentum mode, in the getting all the things done mode, that all of a sudden my kids are grown up, 3 years have passed, and I've gotten a lot done, but I haven't taken the time to actually enjoy what I've done. So think about all those things, what you've done, make that list, writing, not typing, and be able to celebrate that. And yes, people may say, well, you need to be humble, but you can still celebrate the wins when they come, because that's what gets us through the hard times. So as always, go with your gut, do what you need to do, celebrate those wins, and then keep going.